All right, I have a question if you want to jump into another topic. This goes back to something we were talking about earlier about the government having control. I was going to ask, what do you think about the government controlling speech? It's a fun one.
Oh. That's what I think about it.
No.
There it is.
No
No.
way.
Oh, do I have no way? Yeah.
No way.
Can you do it one more time?
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no way.
You said it. You said it.
So
That's
there's
good, though.
controlled speech and there's compelled speech. Well, I mean, that's controlled speech. Compelled speech, more specifically, is you have to say this thing, and that's different than controlled speech.
Controlled speech is you can't say this.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this is almost a silly question because I more or less know what you think, but we're obviously exploring this for people to listen. What's a good way to ask that question so people could get some information out of us?
Well, I think that goes back to our talk about authoritarianism and liberalism, because part of a reoccurring pattern in authoritarian governments of the past is at some point the government says there's something you can't say. And this is how Jordan Peterson, this was his claim to fame initially, is that his government, the Canadian government, basically said you're not allowed to say these things. That's the most simple, basic way to say it. It was regarding pronouns and transgender folks.
I think it was you have to say these things.
Oh, it was a step further than just regulated speech. It was compelled speech.
Yeah,
You're
you
right.
have to use these words.
You're right. And which is, in our opinion, I think worse even than you can't say these things.
Yes.
Because culturally, I don't think either of us has a problem with the culture dictating this isn't appropriate anymore. You should still be allowed to say it, but I think if the culture moves away from certain terminology or certain things, I don't think that's our issue. Our issue is as soon as the government says you have to say this, or you're not allowed to say this, or there will be penalties for you as an individual. That's where problems can really start. Because like you said, you give an inch, they take a foot.
That's the starting point of a larger problem. So it's the principle of the thing.
Mm-hmm.
They've already crossed the line. So it doesn't matter that they've taken one step or 50, they've crossed the line.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, down that road,
individuals no longer
you're
sovereign.
not allowed to say anything bad about the government. You're not allowed to say anything bad about the president. You go to jail. Those are inevitable future steps.
Mm.
They crossed the line in that example. And most people, I think, agreed.
Yeah, they did. I mean, at least it resonated with a lot of people, because a lot of people heard that happened and they were like, "Oh, I don't like that," and they were probably right.
But if I remember right, it is a law now in Canada.
It is a lot, and
I don't have a button for it. So sad. That's okay.
they had there's a great example in one of his interviews and a couple other interviews from people up there who were complaining about that bill, causing compelled speech in regards to pronouns. And one of the great answers he had is like, what does it hurt you if just to use the words people want you to use? And he said, but what if I don't?
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, you won't go to jail. You'll just get fined. He goes, what if I don't pay the fine?
Uh-huh.
And then I guess you might eventually go to jail. Like that's what law is. Like that's what that means is eventually you'd go to jail if you keep breaking that law.
Here's another way of saying that idea. If someone said you have to say this, and he goes, I don't want to, and then he goes, well, then people are going to call you sexist or whatever. People are going to call you sexist and go, what if I don't care if people call me sexist? Mm-hmm. Well, then you're going to jail. I'm going to jail because you're calling me a sexist.
Yeah.
The line has been crossed.